they do and which organization they represent. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the CDC decision. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Jacqueline. Jacqueline, hi.
Hi. Sorry, hi.
Bon dia.
I was looking towards her, yes. Bon dia.
Jacqueline, tell us who you are and why you're here today.
I'm Jacqueline Bode. Sorry, something went wrong.
No worries.
Can I do it like this?
Yes, of course. If you think that feels nicer, that is fine.
I am a Criollo trapper, and I work with AWA, with them. We catch dogs, have them spayed or neutered, and bring them back to the street or their homes.
All right, awesome. And you have been very busy in our community lately, so some people might have seen you, right, in their neighborhoods, or I know that people could also reach out at times to, let you know if there are dogs or cats that were roaming the area. So some of you might have seen Jacqueline in your neighborhoods, but that's basically what you do, right?
Yeah, most of the day, yes.
Most of the day.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. So, Dayenne, you're also not new to Century Carolina. Can you tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yes, I am Dayenne. I'm from Sgt. Pepper's Friends and also apart from AWA, Animal Welfare Alliance Aruba.
All right, awesome. And then we have Mercedes. Mercedes, I saved you for last.
Good.
Mercedes, tell us who you are.
Mercedes. I'm from United Dogs. However, United Dogs kind of does the same what AWA does, but AWA does it continuously. So I'm running AWA. That's the no-cost spay and neuter clinic on the island.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about that? Because, we have had in Aruba spay and neutering campaigns, right? Whether they are funded or just to encourage people to spay and neuter their own pets. This is something that we have been hearing for years. Like, I believe I have a memory of spay and neutering campaigns for many, many years. I do think that culturally we have shifted away from it being something like, oh, it's my choice and I'm going to decide if I'm going to do that to my pet, more towards this is the right thing to do and we should do that. But we still have an issue. I mean, it's much less. I feel like I can objectively or subjectively in my neighborhood see that it's a little less when I walk with my dogs, for example. But it continues, and I think that it has become less because we have had organizations that have been working really hard to make this happen. But AWA is relatively new, right? I think it's 2 years, 3 years now.
1.5 years.
1.5. Okay, look at that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that project and why it exists, and how come the organizations kind of came together to work on this.
Well, it kind of arose from COVID.
Okay.
Because Aruba was on the orange or the red list all the time, so we couldn't get vets on the island. So basically, like some of the head people of some foundations were like, okay, let's start something together, and let's start a continuous spay and neuter clinic. And not just the monthly or the weekly, once per year kind of thing. So let's see how that works. So we're run by volunteers. Also, the medical teams are all volunteers. Our drugs that we do surgery with for anesthesia are given by donations. So we get donations in money and we buy drugs for that. So everything we do is volunteer based. And because of this, we can help so many, basically the low-income families.
I was gonna say, because it's not just like in the case of Criollo trappers, you have the animals that are on the street, but then you might also have low-income families who might not be able to access spay and neuters for their dogs when or before it even becomes an issue, which I think is really important, right? To do it even before it becomes an issue. So can you tell us, any of you, how this really works? How do you get people to participate in these programs and these families to say I would like to do this, but I don't know how to, or I don't know where to reach out, where it's more cost effective. I need help with this. How do you help the Aruba population get their pets or neighborhood animals, because sometimes it's neighborhood animals, right? Spayed and neutered.
Sometimes when I'm on the street, they will come to me, and then I get information from other neighborhoods. We went to a neighborhood to see where we could get the dogs. That's a little bit still something we have to work on, how to do that,
Okay.
how to reach the people. But they talk about it. People tell them to call. So they will have either her number or her or mine, or doesn't matter, somebody, and then the information comes to us and we put it on a list.
Okay.
This is a little longer than that we have time,
Okay.
but yeah, we do our best to do the old things first, and then in between the ones that are red label, in heat, or
Okay.
just in heat, are about to get in heat, those go in between and fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so so it is a combination of a few things. We all get reports with all the foundations together. There's also foundations who are not in AWA who send us reports. But recently we also opened an email address.
Okay.
That email address we opened when we started with the first focus neighborhood. So in January we started with Sarupatrishi, that's the low income area that's close to the AWA clinic. And recently we also added Kurakabai. So
Okay.
how it works, every now and then we put an ad in the newspaper and explains exactly which focus families we are looking for. And like you already said, is that we are looking to help the families who really cannot afford it themselves. Because of course we have the normal vet, we have the great campaign of Stimami Sterilisami, which is already a very big discount, a large discount. So that will tackle a group that will be convinced to operate with that discounted price, and then we are there to help the people who can really not afford it, even though if they wanted to.
Yes.
So with that email address, there's also a WhatsApp number that people can WhatsApp and send their reports. So we go through the reports, and like Jacqueline already said, we added an extra thing, and that is Code Red. Code Red simply means reports that are for us emergency reports.
Okay.
So that could be either a female in heat that's being chased in the street, or a female that is nearly getting in heat. And we ask everybody in Aruba to please notify us with as much as information as possible, so we can tackle those dogs and cats first. And I think we will get to that later. That will, in this period, that's one of the things that's very important now to do.
And
Yeah.
also, if I may add, the ones that are pregnant. That's also very important, because those are the ones that get
Are
the
about
puppies
to-
ASAP.
yes.
So we need to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I think also social media helps a lot. So
For sure. And I was going to say that, right? Sgt. Pepper is for an example of an organization that is popular not only locally but internationally, and has brought a lot of attention to this issue. Some people, might not necessarily like the idea of tourists being so involved in a social issue, but I think that personally, that as a culture, we tend to be a little ashamed and miss out on opportunities of getting help because we are a little ashamed and because we're not willing to put it out there. But Sgt. Pepper has about 100,000 followers, I think it is, on Instagram. They do a really good job at, sharing, and also sharing all of it, right? The cute, the silly, but also the little ugly that happens, right? And the sad that happens, and the realistic stuff as well. And this together with the volunteers and the people that come on the island who volunteer to travel with dogs has also alleviated the adoption issue in Aruba. Maybe you can explain a little bit of these projects and how it had worked up until now, right? Because some people I talk to still don't know that dogs or puppies, sometimes older dogs, but usually puppies, get to, get adopted outside of Aruba as well. And people need to travel, and sometimes they're, looking for volunteers. Sometimes people come on vacation, they fill in a form, and eventually, they get to adopt a dog. And this has been what I think a really great program of using an industry that already functions in Aruba, right, which is tourism, to also directly help out on a social issue. So I don't know who wants to tell us a little bit about how that program worked, which is also why I guess we are a little devastated right now with the CDC decision.
Yeah, so you explained most of it already, but like we are one of the foundations on the island, and we've been working together with the Creole trappers a lot in this, because it's the whole process. It's rescuing a mom with the puppies. That is usually the part that Jacqueline does. We try to socialize them and get them adopted. And for example, with our foundation, we could say that 9 out of 10 dogs, maybe more, went to the US, both puppies and adult dogs. And I think that is one of the reasons that's why it's so important for AWA to focus more on the spay and neuter part, raising awareness and education, is that the whole thing we did with all the foundations together is probably send between 1,500 to 2,000 dogs a year to the US. And with the new rules that are coming, the CDC rules, as of August 1, it's no longer possible for puppies to fly to the US. And we know from all the years that people say, like you said, moving animals is not the solution. No, we agree fully on that, and that's why we've been spending so much time trying to get AWA in the picture and working on that part. But, and maybe you want to explain that further, what happens if those 1,500 to 2,000 dogs do not leave the island anymore? And I think that is what worries us a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's overlooked. People have no clue what the impact of this decision is of the US. So basically, I'm talking 1,500, so I go to the lower end of our estimate, right? So 1,500 puppies means next year 12,000 more dogs in our streets. 12,000. That's an enormous amount. So it means for us that we have to additionally spay and neuter 1,200 puppies or dogs at this moment in order not to get the 12,000 on our streets.
Exactly.
But this means we have an issue already, which you just said you see less animals in the street, right? For us, I think, because it's so visual in social media, we see still so many.
Of course.
There's no counting, so there is no registration of how many street animals we have, so it's always a wild guess. However, we believe there is less. However, we see more devastating pictures. But the 1,200 on top of what we already have to do is enormous. So it's a challenge. And the only thing that we can do is, number one, spay and neuter.
Yeah.
Number two, bring so much more awareness to the streets. And number three, educate the young. That's the only thing we can do. And we need help from the government. We need help from all the other foundations. Because we need help from people in the street that love animals and that say, hey, neighbor, did you spay and neuter your dog or your cats already? Because we cannot have more. We need to solve our own problem. It's time for Aruba to step up and do it themselves. We cannot rely on the Americans. They have their own issues with all their dogs and cats.
But so I had no idea what the exact number was, that go to the US. And I see the pictures, right? Because I follow the organization, so I see the pictures and I see that there are puppies and dogs on flights all of the time. So I can see that. And I knew a couple of months ago when I saw the CDC decision that was going to be a problem. However, I mean, you are doing that work, so you know exactly how big of a problem it is. For me right now, as a citizen of this community, to hear the possible impact of this is pretty serious. Like you mentioned, it's
not
least
possible.
Exactly, at least a couple it's crazy to think that you would need to spay or neuter at least 1,000 dogs, 1,500 dogs. It's if you even think of like hours and amount of time, but also resources.
Money, time.
Yes, it. Even if you would magically get the money, you would still need the human resources to do this, right? And to get them on time, but also to house them, because they would need to live somewhere up until they get spayed or neutered, but also afterwards. So it's a very impactful issue. But before we go into all of these issues and how it actually impacts, I don't know, Dayenne, if maybe you want to tell anybody who still doesn't understand the CDC decision to maybe explain it. Is this something that affects only Aruba? Is it a worldwide decision? Did they explain why they made this decision?
The CDC rules are a worldwide decision.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where the dogs come from. It's what they simply did is they raised the age for dogs to enter the US. So before it was 8 weeks, and now they hired it to 6 months. And then, so if you see it plainly, it doesn't mean that there's no dog that could enter the US anymore. But the problem is, most of the dogs who were adopted from Aruba, they flew in cabin on the airlines with the tourists.
Yes.
And in general, puppies cannot fit in cabin anymore after they are 12 to 16 weeks old. Plus, most of the people want to adopt a puppy, and in 2 weeks that won't be possible anymore. So I think there's a lot of extra problems that may arise from this. And the main reason what the US mentions in the announcement is that it's because of rabies. For who doesn't know it, Aruba is a rabies-free country. So I think we all hope that at some point there will be exceptions made for non-rabies countries. But yeah, we don't know if that will happen in a year or 2 years, or if it will happen at all. But of
So you need to
course,
prepare regardless, right?
we have to prepare. And besides the fact that they don't fly, they cannot fit in cabin anymore. At this moment, there are also no travel options for bigger dogs. So yeah,
There's no airline.
there's no airline now.
So even if you would say like, I don't mind getting a 6-month-old,
No.
you can't take them in the cargo.
No, at
or
this moment not. We
Oh, wow.
hope as well that will change or will reinstate in the near future. But at this moment, in 1.5 weeks, we have to solve our problem.
There is
here.
no dog
There's
leaving
no-
this island to the US.
To the US, yeah.
No dog.
No.
Just
Wow.
impossible.
Yeah.
Or they are small and 6 months.
Yes.
6 months and
Yes.
have are spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and everything. And then we don't know how the procedure is yet.
Okay.
I don't know if we have to ask for permission and then it takes 2
Yeah.
weeks, or that we can ask today and tomorrow they can fly. We don't know.
But then it would have to be like,
A small breed mix.
Yes.
So a dog that's 6 months or older, but small enough to fit in cabin.
which from, all my times volunteering.
They're not
At
many.
Sergeant Pepper,
No.
they're not many,
No,
right?
no. It's maybe, I think you could say 5 out of 100
Wow.
would maybe fit in cabin above 6 months old. And like Jacqueline said, as of August 1, it's not only having the dog fly with a health certificate and book a ticket on a plane. No, you have to have an import permit. And that's, for us, that's like a little bit vague at this moment. So,
How and what?
so long story short, AWA, what we do at AWA, we've been trying to say that for almost 2 years now. It's becoming so much more important because we don't only have to keep doing what we're doing, we have to do more, much more. And we have to, the families of Aruba need to help us.
Exactly.
It's not fun, it's not cute to have your cat have kittens once or twice, or have your dog get babies once, because there are no homes to adopt all of them. And now that they're not leaving, we have to make sure it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, what, other than we're going to have a bunch of extra dogs that, we did not hope to have that now need to get spayed and neutered, but also housing. Can you all of you from your respective organizations, tell us what this could possibly look like in, you know, everyday life, this impact of not having these, you know, animals be able to fly out. What would it look like for a regular person in their neighborhoods, or, you know, for your organizations respectively? What would that impact look like?
For us, it would be busy streets, and not only trapping the mom and getting the babies to them or to anybody else. It would mean the right timing before the mom is getting ready to get in heat again, to go in heat again. We also need to get the babies, and then we take a risk. We will operate them a little bit too early, because they can get in heat very young in age, even 6 months. So we have to make sure that the whole family is done. But that means that your neighborhood have the mom, and I don't know how many puppies, and they will roam around, and they will get your slippers and your wash hanging on the
Yes.
lines, and the people don't like it, so they're nasty to they don't treat them so very nice, and they will hit them. I have now 2 dogs that were hit with a machete, with wounds everywhere. People don't like them, so there are too many, and people are not. When I was young, people would just accept a stray, and they would put their food there, and that was it. But that's not how it is anymore. So people will be annoyed, and there will be a lot of dogs barking around in the night. That's how it looks. In my
Your imagination, yeah.
If we don't manage to
Yeah,
operate,
exactly.
and even though, and that is your very first question, is how do you get people? We've noticed that if there's a newspaper ad, that we do get a lot of reports. We have been asking for specific neighborhoods, and we also receive a lot of general reports. But we do see that people want to get help. So
That's
that is
good,
one
that's
group.
good.
But
Yes.
there's also another group that you talk about, and we talk about it with some of the vets too. There's also one group that doesn't respond to an ad, even not when it's free, even not when they're picked up. And I think that group needs more help. That needs help from maybe the government, from awareness. I don't know, even
Are you
taxes.
talking about the group that just doesn't want to cut the balls
That,
off?
yes.
basically,
Yeah, I was-
because it's a macho
yes.
thing?
Yeah, or not even spay because it's nature.
Yes.
We still hear that. And
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, you know, and if you want to share, but
Yeah.
what are the type of arguments that you get from people? Like, why they simply say, I don't care if it's free or whatever, I just don't want to do it. Like, what are things that people say? Like, you just mentioned, like, it's nature, of course, the macho culture,
Yes.
right? If you have a male dog, it's gonna change its personality, and I want him to, like, I don't know, be whole or whatever.
I think that is the most common one.
Okay.
We've been into the street with a few people and just talked to the people, explain them nicely, hey, we have a special project, this is our focus neighborhood, do you have dogs or cats, are they spayed or neutered? If not, do you want help? Because let's be honest, we cannot force anyone because we don't have enforcement. So we can only explain what are the positive things of spay and neuter, not only for the dog or the cat itself, but also for the community.
Family, yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that keep coming up is that they are okay to spay the female, but don't understand why it is important to neuter the male. And maybe it's good to explain why it's also
Yeah, so
good to neuter
the male goes everywhere. When there is a female in heat, he goes everywhere. He jumps the fences, he goes from neighborhood to neighborhood to find that female.
They
And-
smell them.
Yeah, but from far, far. So, and what you also see if there is a female in heat, you see it alongside the road. She's being raped by 3-4 dogs. And that's also why if you have a litter of puppies, you see maybe like 3-4 different types of puppies. That's because there may be 3-4 different types of daddies.
And some people
You
don't
know?
even know that, right? That
Yeah.
could happen
Yeah.
with dogs, and that can happen with dogs, right?
Yeah, so it's a tragedy. So it's better for if you own a dog in your own yard. You say, hey, it stays in my yard, nothing happens. No, it's better for their health. The risk of cancer is much less. it's better for their fur. It's better for everything. It's better for the streets. People are not getting attacked by dogs. The male dogs are not as dominant, and they're not as focused on females. Female dogs also, it's better for them. It's also less
Stressful. I would
stressful.
say, yes.
Of course, they don't get raped anymore. Plus, it's better for their health. They don't get cancer either. So there's so many more benefits to spay and neuter. Not only control the population.
Of course, of
it's
course.
just better for their health. So why not do it? We do it for free.
And you know, Mercedes, what would be a good thing to add, because that is what a lot of people think, that if you have an adult male and you neuter the male, the dog will still protect your house. It will
If that
not,
is your goal, right?
if that is
Yes.
your goal,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of people are afraid that if you neuter the male, they will be
Interesting.
be not like.
It doesn't jump the fence
No.
anymore.
And-
That's the good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It stays in the yard to protect.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it doesn't change the character that much that it will not be, if that is what you're looking for, protect your house anymore. And besides,
Because they are territorial animals, right? They work
Yeah.
in packs, and their
Yeah.
house is their house, so that's not going to change
Yeah.
the moment you
Yeah.
you neuter them.
But
yeah.
it does have positive
Yeah.
effects too, because a lot of the unneutered dogs or cats have behavioral issues because of the hormones they get. So it
Of
can
course,
result
of
in
course.
fighting, and like you say, it's not only escaping the yard because they want to reproduce, but it also involves dog crossing the road and causing accidents. So it can
Yeah.
also cause accidents with people, and dogs running around chasing somebody. It's dangerous for kids. It's dangerous for people on bikes. So there's a lot of other things besides the reproducing
I was-
that makes it important.
I was going to say, when Jacqueline was explaining what are examples of, like, things that could look like in neighborhoods, I think that is also something that impacts, right? Like driving, your safety on the roads. I think that we can see, I mean, we all are on our roads, and sometimes, you're driving a little too close to the speed limit or whatever, and a dog or a group of dogs, and you'll see when there's like a female up front, and usually stray dogs, like if they're by themselves, they'll like stop and they'll kind of figure out how traffic works. But the moment there's a female in heat, it's like their brains stop working, and they just jump on the road to try to get to the other side with the and it's very scary, because you could be driving, and even if you're not driving too fast, if your reaction time is not good, it could literally cause an accident and impact other people in their cars. So that's why no matter what, it's very important to also have dogs in your yard and not on the street, because it can become a public road issue, but also damage to property. I think that for the people who
Yeah.
might be listening and is like, I don't really care about animals or whatever, but maybe you care about property, and when you have this going on, it might also mean, if you have dogs who are on a mission, right, to try to get to a female in heat or a female who's trying to get away, they might break into your yard and do a little mess. They might jump on your car because they're a little defensive,
Climbing
or
a wall, yeah.
yes, exactly.
We've
and
seen pictures of people that had the markings from the dogs, like climbing over the wall. Yeah, that
Exactly.
happens.
On their cars,
Yeah.
like, it's like, I don't,
Yeah.
even with my dogs, like, I don't want them scratching my car. So I can imagine, and, my dogs are insured for whatever reason they must get out and do something. But I know that this is not the case, and the ones that live on the street are for sure not insured. So even if you don't think about, from the animal welfare perspective, it impacts so many areas of life, right? That we don't.
It's a social
Yes.
issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think what for us would be very important, like you just said, you see it sometimes that
Yeah.
a female get chased by dogs,
Mhm.
and those dogs, please report those. We don't care
Okay.
where they're on the island, but
Yeah.
it sounds weird, but we get happy if we manage to spay 5 females in heat, because that means that, let's say they all would
Mhm.
get 5 puppies when we wouldn't do it. We prevented those 5
Exactly.
puppies, the 5 puppies that we cannot help anymore
Mhm,
as of
mhm.
August 1. So for everybody in Aruba, wherever you're driving, if you have a chance to stop and make a picture, video, share the location, please send it to us, and then we will try
To help at
to
our
help.
Yes.
Yeah, we will help.
the
to-
email address or the WhatsApp number
Yeah.
that we have.
I think you can share that. Probably,
Yes, I
right?
will
Yeah.
for sure. And it also works for cats, right? Because
Yes.
another thing that I know, stray cats might be a little harder to catch or to perceive as such, because we tend to let cats outside. But I just want to mention that sometimes we don't think about it, but cats are really bad predators. Like, they will eat our wildlife as well and attack our birds and our local snakes, and little animals that we might have out there. So dogs do it a little less. They also can do it. That's why dogs are not allowed in certain areas. It's for protection, because they're not supposed to be in the wild, right? So it's not a natural interaction with our already, challenge. Yeah, let's call it challenge. Natural environment.
Yeah, it's very challenging.
Yes, it's very challenge. But yes, I think that this is very interesting. So another thing. What about people who find puppies? I see this a lot on social media, right? They find puppies, they find kittens, and they say, oh, I tried reaching out to an organization and they're full. And sometimes people do not understand that the organizations are full or why they're full. Can you maybe also talk a little bit about that, of how the organizations are trying to manage and, whatever rescues they get, but also how this might challenge an already oversaturated, right, population into having dogs stay longer, which means that new spots do not open.
Yeah, so it will be worse.
It will be worse. I think there will be mostly no's as of now.
Yeah,
Because
we cannot help.
it's as simple as that. If they don't, I think if you look at the current situation, for example, a litter of puppies would stay 3 to 5 weeks, and then they leave. Either a local adoption, US adoption, a Netherlands adoption, whatever. From August 1, all the dogs that will be taken in will stay at least 6 months, and then probably a few months later, because teens and adults take months to get adopted. So this is the moment for people to decide to spay and neuter their pets, because the whole problem, and I think that's scientifically proven, the problem starts at the homes. The dogs we see roaming on the street, 99 out of 100, they're not stray dogs. They're owned, but they roam. They walk loose. So where we have to focus on is the families.
Yes.
Because if the families don't take responsibility, the situation is not going to change. And I think what we are very worried about now is if people do get a litter and none of the foundations are able to help, where will they end up? Because like you said before, when puppies are small, they're cute. But when they get 12 weeks, 30 weeks, 16 weeks, they start destroying if you don't train and walk them. So where will they end up?
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to think about the solution. Because what is the solution? So number one, yes, it's spay and neuter. Everybody needs to spay and neuter their animal. Second is, because we cannot adopt them out to the States anymore, we need to call upon the people in Aruba to help out. So yes,
And helping out might also be adopting, right?
Yes, be adopting.
Yeah.
Look around in your neighborhood. Oh yes, that female we can spay or neuter. We can spay, or that boy we can neuter. We need the community to step up, because this is not the dog's problem or the cat's problem. We as human, we made this issue,
Exactly.
and we need to solve that. So we need to help. And it's not only the foundations, it's not only the government, it's the people that live in Aruba. Whether you are Dutch, whether you are Latino, of course Arubans, everybody needs to help.
Exactly, because we're all
And-
part of this community, right?
It's we're so many nationalities here, so, and we all need to take care of our animals. So that is so important. So yes, we are looking for more foster homes, more homes that can adopt animals that come from the streets. we all know that puppies are cute and sweet, but once they get older, they get like, like feisty. So they need to be educated too. They need to get training. They need to sit down. Like yesterday, we had Bouquet de Pret at Aruba, and the kids, they were so proud to have their dogs and how they feed them and how they take care of them, how they give them love. There's so many kids that know how to do it.
Yes.
And I think it's the kids that kind of educate their parents at this moment. So kids keep on doing that, So
encourage also people that have kids or organizations that work with kids, right? Schools to also talk about this, even if it's not part of the curriculum or the annual plan or whatever. Talk about it because
and also if you look at companies, one of my friends, she works at the university, and they had 2 roaming dogs there at the university. So, but those dogs also kind of protect in a nice way the whole university area. So what they did officially, they adopted the 2 dogs, and the guards are giving those dogs food in the morning and in the afternoon, take care of them, make sure that they are spay neutered, and also take care medically of them. So it's a dog is not always a nuisance if it walks around your property or around your company. You can also, in a nice way, take care of it, and it will help you as well take care of your own property,
exactly,
or of a business.
And I see some organizations are doing that, and something that works is having best practices, right? Examples. So for organizations that might be listening, if your organization has done this, share about it so people can see there are ways, right? Like you just shared the University of Aruba. I go there sometimes for lectures, and they have the dogs. They also have a couple of cats, and I know that they take care. Yes. But I think it might be nice from an organization perspective if people share those success stories. I know there's like a lawyer that also did that. Yes, they have a dog, and they shared the journey because you might have people who don't know how to do it, right? Like what would it look like if I have a dog that doesn't go home, that stays at the organization? Like, is it complicated? Is it gonna cost me a lot of money, or who's gonna take care of it? And there are people out there who already figured it out. So share about it and maybe ask them about it, right? Like how did it work? Is it easy? Does it take much time? And I think that is also an aspect of social responsibility where local organizations could have a very positive impact as we transition into this new phase, but also as we take a holistic approach into tackling an issue that affects us all. So I would like to see that more too. I think that's a really nice example.
At least it will help the dogs and the cats that are already here,
exactly,
right? And I think you Jacques, quite some companies who have the dogs that we operated, or even cats. I think in the Barcadera area, there's quite some.
There's a lot of people who have, but they don't want to know it, of course, because other people will dump their animals there. They do a good job.
Yes.
And they call as soon as there's a new one, and then we spay or neuter. But people cannot. A lot of people expect us to help. They think because we are an organization, we need to help, and that is something maybe has to change a little bit too.
Personal responsibility.
That is number one.
No, but they say it's not my dog, and then I always say, mine either. But we need to do something.
Exactly.
Because and that will be worse. Okay, people will find 3 animals, and before that, I could call a lot of people, and then they at the end those 3 will be somewhere, not possible anymore. That was really, and then I hope that they can have the time to wait, and when they're old enough to spay and neuter, and then find a home. But if they don't do that and throw them somewhere else, then we don't know anymore where the problem is and how to spay and neuter, find them in time to spay and neuter.
Exactly.
And what would be a good thing maybe to promote amongst companies and the hotels and restaurants is that there have been some hotels, I think Bukuti, they promoted adoption among the employees. So adoption from one of the foundations. I think the hotel even reimburse the adoption fee if the employees
and
adopt
spay and
it.
neuter fee, I
Yes.
think. Yes.
And if, for example, an hotel contacts us about cats, we also always try to explain them, hey, if they're spayed and neutered, they are very good pest control at the hotel. Maybe make a designated feeding area.
I just noted that
Yes.
at one hotel recently, and I
There-
was like,
There are a few hotels, like let's not give
No,
names,
no.
but there are a few hotels
Yes.
that have hotel cats. They're spayed and neutered. They're
Yes.
being fed. They have names. They even wear collars.
yes.
And I think, like you said, if we do that with the current animals and make sure that all the current animals are spayed and neutered, and I think by reporting them, maybe even offering help to bring and pick them up, because that is one of the issues that we are facing. We've been doing a lot, but we have a lot of bigger campaigns coming up, so we need more help. And even though if we get 2,000 animals reported, we need help to bring those animals in, to have them cleaned, have them been taken care of, clean at the clinic, clean cars, drive cars. So I think
Exactly.
Yeah, we have some
yeah.
bottlenecks.
Yes.
And it's especially in the area where Jacqueline
Yes.
is working. So we need guys with pickup trucks.
I was gonna
that,
say,
that help
Guys
her.
or ladies.
Or ladies.
Yes, yes,
Well,
yes,
yes.
you know, you have a hernia
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
moment. We need some
Yeah.
muscle.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are kind of bottlenecks. We have some bottlenecks in the clinic as well, because, you know, it's heavy load that we carry.
Yeah.
So we need people like volunteers in the clinic. And we get normally the medical staff is abroad. Is normally abroad. We will share some nice news in the coming weeks. But so we have challenges. We try to overcome them and always look at possibilities. The thing that I would like to add to Dayenne's and to Jacqueline's story is that I know from abroad, like the elderly homes or the older people that are like lonely, they adopt cats, and that would be so nice for Aruba as well.
For the elderly homes.
Yeah, for the elderly homes or for people that
Yeah.
are
Like a comfort
older.
cat.
Yeah, like a comfort cat, that they don't they're not alone. They have responsibilities, like something to take care of. I think for Aruba that would be a good goal to
Of
pursue.
course. So for people who are listening and they say, I really think that I have some free time, and I would like to. No, I think he wants you to talk closer to the mic.
Okay.
But for people who say, like, you know, I might have a couple of hours a week, maybe it's not much, but I like animals and I care about animal welfare, and I have been looking ways to possibly volunteer, but I haven't found the thing yet. But this interests me. What, you know, you mentioned people who might have pickup trucks, right, and some muscle.
The Marines.
Do they help out? I'm just curious. I'm
A
just
few
curious.
times, yeah.
We don't
They
have
come.
to
Yeah,
answer.
sometimes. No, sometimes they come, but not with the campaigns.
Okay.
Sometimes they have new groups from, I don't know all the lingo, the marine lingo, but they have groups from the Netherlands, and then they like them to do a community work, so they come and clean and help a little. But we love to invite them for our campaigns because you know, we need some muscle.
Yes. So is that because it's mostly women? Like, not that women can have muscles, of course, but
20% less.
Yeah.
Yes,
science,
it's mostly
right?
women.
Yeah, it's nothing.
I know.
Scientifically proven.
Yeah, exactly. But and it's a lot of heavy work physically.
Yes.
So of course we want a lot of women too. But if there's a few strong men, that would be nice.
Okay.
Right. And I think in general in animal rescue there are more women
Yes,
who help
okay.
out. And if somebody wants to help out, you can contact either of our foundations or AWA.
Mm-hmm.
And what we usually do is invite somebody just to come and help once and see if it's something you like. You know, it's not something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You either
And
love
it's
it.
not always hard work because
It's
we clean
cool.
instruments, we
Yeah.
take ticks of
Yeah.
puppies and dogs, and we cut the nails, and we feed them. So it's if you cannot lift, you know, there's so many things that
Other
you can
things,
help out
yes.
with.
Yeah.
And you know, it's also with younger people. I think that you know, we have done it a couple of times, and I know that they cannot come by themselves, but there are ways to incorporate help and learning. So,
Yes.
for example, when I have come a couple of times with either my students or with my kids from camp, it's not only that they are volunteering, but they also learn things that they could do in their own neighborhoods,
Yes.
right? So I think that might also be a way for people who are out there and they're like, okay, I mostly work with children and we would want to help in some way. Maybe just learning how most children have smartphones, right? Teenagers have smartphones, so maybe they can't come to volunteer, but maybe they can take it up on themselves in their neighborhood to call in when there's a female in heat.
Yes.
So I think that there are other ways.
There are many ways to help. I
Exactly.
think the opportunities to help are endless.
Yes.
Are endless, and it's just it doesn't matter in which way, but if people can get a connection
Exactly.
to animal welfare in whatever way, it can be helping. Are you a photographer? Are you good in making pictures?
That's nice too.
Do you want to walk dogs? Like Mercedes said, sometimes we have some special guests at the clinic that we try to have that as least as possible, but somehow we always tend to have some animals that stay a bit longer. They need love and care. It's not only lifting heavy crates.
Exactly.
Jacqueline, our master trapper, she cannot do the 2,000 animals
By herself.
By herself.
No,
No,
of course
we
not.
do have some other people that help, but I think in the area of trapping, picking up animals, and a lot of people say, yeah, why do you pick up animals? We notice that even though if we offer people, you can bring your animals tomorrow morning, that there's a lot of the times the car doesn't work. I have to be at work. There's a lot of the time there's still excuses for
Not to
animals
come.
not to be brought in, and the communication about that, even though if we visited people in the street, it takes so much time that often it's much quicker to just go there and pick them up and put them in the correct kennel or
Exactly.
crate or trap right away to make the transport safe as well. So yeah, if people even want to join Shock with an extra trap, so we can
And that
move more
might-
animals.
I'm thinking that might also be a way to help, right?
Trap. Yeah.
But I mean, when you mentioned that, the reality is that when we talk about like low income neighborhoods or families, some of these people have two jobs, and
Yeah.
they might not be able to get off of work. They might have no work, no pay jobs,
Or have no car.
or
We've
have
seen
no
that
car.
too.
Exactly. So that might also
Yeah.
be a way. If you have a colleague or a neighbor and you do have a car, you might have a little bit more time and you have that conversation. And for whatever reason, they say that they would really want to do this, but their
There's no
main
transport.
challenge
Yes.
is transport. Then that might also be a
Yeah.
way of you helping out.
Yeah.
Offer if you can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like can we? I'll make the appointment, make sure that it works with my schedule, and just let me know how to get into your yard or whatever. I'll grab the animal and take it, pick it back up. So I think that there are also simple ways without maybe a lot of
Yeah.
commitment that you could help getting the animals to where they need to be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that might also
Yeah.
be a good challenge. Check in with your neighbors and friends and colleagues and family if that might be the thing keeping them
Yeah.
from.
And of course, a very simple thing is sharing posts.
Yes.
Sharing social media.
Yes,
you
yes,
know, like at this moment, social media is important.
Yes.
We see a lot, but the more people see what they could do, what we want to achieve, I think the more chances there are that we see change.
Yes.
And we need change.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's going to be very depressing.
Yeah, no, we need. And in the beginning, I felt like defeated, but now I think, okay, it just means to avoid 1,600 puppies. We need to do 20 female dogs per month extra. That's on top. Otherwise, my brain can't capture it.
Yes,
So I
yes.
thought now I go for the 20 dogs. 'Cause if I think of all the animals that stay behind, I just give up and go lay down.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
do 20 females extra per month, make sure that they don't have the extra puppies, then maybe we are.
That's just to
Exactly,
solve
yeah.
this problem. That's not the whole problem. It's
No,
just
Let's make
this extra-
40.
Yeah,
Then
Yeah,
we,
you know, I go for
then-
40.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
we change. Then we
Yeah.
really change.
Yes,
But this
because
is
we
ju-
need to change. It's not like maintaining it. We need to, you know, we need
No,
to.
this was
Yeah.
just to maintain this new
Sanity.
problem.
yeah, maintain
Maintain sanity. I understand.
And maybe it's nice also to address the tourists that are listening at this moment.
Yes.
So Dayenne already mentioned it. We're gonna have large campaigns, high volume campaigns, and we're I think at this moment we have 7 or 8 campaigns booked already until March next
Okay.
year, which means normally we have 1 surgical room in the clinic. Now we're gonna have 3.
Nice.
So we're already up on over. I'm just pointing my hands above my head. So we're up with work. So it's gonna even be more.
Yes.
We're dedicated, so we need to do this.
Mhm.
So in order to do this, we need people. And whether you're local, whether you're a tourist, please come. We have on our Facebook, I'm just gonna say it out loud. We have a registration form for all the campaigns. You can just choose the campaign that you want and that is, you know, feasible with your time and timings when you have holidays. Come down to Aruba and help us.
I think that
combine
that's a-
fun with some
Yes.
It's gonna be a
feedback.
live experience. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna cry.
Cry
You're gonna be
too.
so tired that you cannot walk anymore. It's just what it is. But you do it for a good cause.
Exactly. And I think that interests people. I think that more and more people are interested in giving back one way or the other. So keep it up. Is there anything else that you would like us to keep in mind before we go?
love your animals.
Yes, please do. Jacqueline, is there anything that you would like to leave people who are listening right now to us? Something that you feel they should know or, you know, they should think about?
I just thought about even if you have a car and you're afraid that it gets dirty, you can borrow a crate. Come and get a
Yeah.
crate, put the animal in with towels, then you don't dirty up your car. And you bring it to us. That's also a possibility.
There's
Because
so many solutions.
There's lots of options.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. We try to think in solutions,
I love it.
also to keep sanity.
I love it. I love it.
Not to forget what is the most important for us is we need everybody in Aruba to report the females in heat.
So we need
Yeah.
action.
We need action.
Yeah.
This is a call to action.
Yeah.
Yes, I
I
like
have
that.
So-
a nice girl. She's 20 years and she's very vocal. And she said, "Oh, you can come here. We have a lot of people working here. We can all help you. There's a female in heat. It's something for the next week, and we do all the males and we do that female, young girl." And I thought, yes, you are
That
the
is what
ones we need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good to say that we do have those experience too.
Yes,
Like it's
of
not
course.
only negative, not at all. We've had several people at the clinic. They were so thankful and happy, and when they came to pick up their animals, and thankful to us. So I think we do see a lot of nice things too, and that gives hope.
Exactly.
Yeah, that gives hope.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who listened. Of course, then you're also hopefully part of the solution because you learned a couple of things today, I hope. And you learned how you can be part of the solution. Thank you, ladies, so much for talking to me this Saturday morning.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for
Yeah.
listening.
Yes. So, you know, I just want to mention a couple of takeaways from this. I think we need to take more action, right? And it is in our hands, and we have a responsibility to our community to make it better. And better, like we already said, could be something very big, but it can be also small actions like just calling in and sending a text and letting the people who are doing amazing work know where to go at the right time and the right place. Thank you to everyone who listened. If you started listening just now and you realize it's coming to an end, do not worry. We are live still on Cool FM's Facebook and YouTube, so you can just rewatch it once we are done. But also on the Sincerely Carolina YouTube, so you can share it with friends, with family, with whomever you want. And it will also be available on Tuesday on your favorite podcasting platform like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So you can also listen maybe while you're in your car and then you just happen to see some animals and you call it in immediately. All right. So I encourage you to, of course, follow the organizations, follow AWA, and that's AWAA. You can follow Criollo Trappers, you can follow Sergeant Peppers and Friends, and United Dogs, and you will find the information that you need to become a volunteer, but also to report the animals and to know where to and how to. So once again, thank you to my awesome sponsors that allow me to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And today we talked about this. So thank you to Toto, to La Roche-Posay, and to Pringles. I appreciate you so much. And I will see y'all again next week. There will also be an episode of Stima Autista next week, so be pending for that. All right, have a nice Saturday. Bye. I'm Carolina, and I am the host of Sincerely Carolina, a series of educational conversations about current social issues with local and international experts. Make sure you tune in every Saturday on Cool FM from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Bye!
Gusta vai vakantie away. Financiamento